and Director Heiss. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate that. And you're absolutely correct. This year has been such an interesting year with the staff. You know, even from the Nevada Library Association, one of the great kind of honors that a president of the Nevada Library Association has is having our annual conference. That's a great event. We have it, get to have it locally. People come from all over the state. We get to be together. We get to, you know, commune together, learn together. It's such a great experience. And I had the unique honor of having the presidency during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we never, unfortunately, were not able to do that. Along with that, probably even the greater honor is being able to award the Librarian of the Year, which is the award from the Nevada Library Association. It's the highest honor that we have. And each year, a unique individual is selected to receive that honor based on the amazing work they do, not only in that year, but also throughout their career. It's an incredibly high honor, and it's always well-deserved. And you know, in honor of National Library Workers Day, where we just honor all of our employees, the library is a people-oriented organization. It's the business structure. We add technology all the time. We're constantly adding improvements. We're bringing things to the table. But at the core of everything we do is our staff, the public that we serve, and that direct line. So it's really an honor for me to be able to provide this award, present this award, but also on this very special day where we're honoring library workers throughout the country. So with that, I'm gonna pass it over, before we make the official announcement, I'm gonna pass it over to Denise, and she's gonna talk a little bit about the nomination for this amazing candidate and what were some of the things that made this decision very easy for our Nevada Library Association team. So Denise.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Forrest. I appreciate the introduction, and thank you, Todd, for the introduction as well. And for everyone here, I'd like you to know my door is open, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with all of you. I think it's important, as Forrest has said, for us to recognize how much of what you do as library workers is so important, and what's allowed us to be able to respond to this pandemic by tapping into the skills that you bring to the table naturally. Library staff are constantly at the forefront of challenges and new horizons, of bringing in innovation and discovering new ways of being able to meet the new changes and challenges of the world. And that is why we're gathering here today, to award one of our own for those very skills. And in looking at the nomination for this individual, I'd like to read a few pieces from that. This individual's dogged persistence and vision of the role that libraries must play in Nevada's workforce recovery was critical in receiving the $13.8 million Sandy grant. This individual's steadfast and unfailing understanding that libraries must always be a part of the solution to the problems that Nevadans face will allow the state library to partner with key government agencies, including GOED and OWN, to execute this important grant. I'm going to pass the mic back to Forrest to announce this individual and talk a little bit more about this individual. And I'm very honored to have been able to be a part of this. Forrest?
Thanks, Denise. First, want to say the immense pleasure it is for me to be able to give this award this year. The recipient of the Librarian of the Year for the Nevada Library Association is not just an amazing librarian who's done amazing work for the state, but I consider her a very good friend of mine. She's been incredibly helpful to our libraries around the state, but for me specifically, my library is in North Las Vegas. The benefit that she has brought to our libraries as far as technology, there's been using virtual reality programs to do amazing partnerships with the College of Southern Nevada. They have the first in the nation dialysis technician program that we're able to work with. She allowed us to be a part of that, bringing technology. And one thing I have to say, you know, I've worked in libraries for 25 years, and the most amazing people that I've ever had the pleasure of working with and being with in my life, not only in my professional career, have been in libraries. I think people that end up in libraries have a true heart for the community. They want to help people. They have a true passion for what they're doing. And I can honestly say in my career, there have been a very select few that I consider high valued friends and mentors that really add to my experience, what I'm able to bring to. And I'm really excited to say that this individual is definitely high on that list. I regard her extremely well. She's been incredible she's in here for all the right reasons. And probably even more importantly, she brings to the table a view of librarianship and what libraries can be. You know, libraries are not just warehouses for books. They're not just, you know, kind of the old hat getting shushed when you walk in the door. They are really tools for the future. We are institutions that are, through our workforce development, through, you know, we're working with economic development purposes, we're getting people trained. We are those community centers that are going to bring our communities up to the next level, and the expansion of that. And it's amazing to see somebody, and especially at the level that this person has been at to help libraries, really see that vision, can communicate it outside of the library land where people can actually understand what we're talking about. Sometimes I think we get caught up in, you know, our library lingo, and is really able to spread that message, not only locally, but on a national level, and has put Nevada libraries at the forefront of technology and innovation above many other much larger, much better funded states. So without any further ado, I would like to announce that the winner of the 2020 Nevada Library Association Librarian of the Year is Tammy Westergaard. Congratulations, Tammy. Well deserved.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, I would like to, before we hand it over to Tammy to say a few words, I would like to actually allow or invite Karsten Heiss to say a few words, who's now sadly, I don't want to say taken Tammy from us, but has allowed her to support libraries in a new and exciting way. So Karsten, if you could say a few words, we appreciate that.
Sure. Thanks, Forrest. And it's a great honor actually to be invited here today. I might be the only non-librarian, so I feel a bit awkward, but I have a lot of books, so I can point to that. And although I will shush you when you come into my personal library, there's also a computer in here, so there's technology. But now let me go back a little bit. I've worked with Tammy since I can't even remember. It must have been like 2014, might be earlier. Sort of the years seem to just fly by, so it's very hard to actually pin exactly the point in time. But she was still at the Carson City Library, and I was working on some workforce development projects at the time when no one really was talking about workforce development. I mean, not many people were. And now everybody's talking about it, which is rather bizarre, but interesting. Finally, everybody got around the important things that we should be addressing. But so I was working on workforce development and mainly started in manufacturing. And there she was with her project of the MT1, and so she spoke my language, and so I sort of realized, oh, there's a driving force in this field, and well, sure enough, this driving force later recruited me onto the onto the state council as well, and all went from there. So, she is really, and of course, you already touched upon this, and Denise, you as well. But she's really she's really a visionary force here, not just very energetic force, but really a visionary for developing programs that really reskill and upskill Nevadans. And that is really important because she, and as far as you already alluded to this, she put Nevada libraries really on the map nationwide, and become, I would say, a best practice, for particular, leading the nation in the library's federal mandate. Not many people actually know this. Within the libraries we do, but not outside the libraries. And I'm sort of paraphrasing here. I actually had to write it down. It's a very long paragraph, but so I'm paraphrasing. So to promote lifelong learning, expand services and resources provided by libraries relating to workforce development, 21st century skills, and digital literacy. So that sounds familiar. So Tammy was already working on this, very, very early on, and that's what we are now, and especially under Sandy, really focusing on. So if you take, MT1, the certificate at the Carson City Library to start with, now we're actually building an MT1 Plus, so watch this space. Then coding in libraries, Nevada Career Explorer, virtual reality for STEM, then the dialysis technician online certification, utilizing also, a virtual reality. And these are really all testimonies to Tammy's visionary work and really, upskilling, reskilling the Nevadans in this knowledge-based and digital economy that we are all in. And above all, really, she's really changing the life of Nevadans for the better. And I think all of us in economic development, as well as within the library, that's really the benchmark that we should be measured against. So I have to say that has been a true privilege to working with Tammy, and we have definitely 3 more years under Sandy, so we're charging ahead, and the sky's the limit.
Thank you so much. And I would just like to say before handing it over to Tammy, but Tammy, we do have a plaque that we will be giving you. I wish I was there in person to give that to you, but unfortunately we're doing virtual. So don't worry, the plaque is in the mail. We'll get that to you as soon as we can. So without any further ado, the librarian of the hour, Tammy Westergaard. Congratulations.
Yay.
Oh my gosh, wow. You guys, honestly, thank you all so much for those kind words. And what is the African proverb? If you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And as I think about all of this with all of you that are on this call, it chokes a girl up. I'm here with Robin Williamson and Sarah Jones. So Sarah and Robin was a library board of trustee in Carson City, in addition to being a Carson City supervisor. And you guys all know Sarah Jones was a state librarian in Nevada and the Carson City Library director. And as Karsten said, these big ideas, have been, well, they're not that big. They're actually they just kind of make sense, right? It's all about focused impact. Everybody understands that in order to live in a democracy with open markets, you have to have skills to get a job. It's about work. It's about knowing how to do something so you can go to work every day and to make a difference and to feel good about that. And jobs can be taken away from you, but careers can't. And so all of us believe in education. My mom is also on this call, and she would say that my grandmother, Helen, who was a librarian, this is Denio, by the way, but it looks like this in Elko too, that education is the one true religion. So I think we all go to that church, and it's just, it is kind of that fundamental universal truth to keep students learning and to keep adults earning. And there's so much dignity in work when we have skills and we can go to work. And I know I feel that, and I'm so humbled by this award, and by I can feel all of you guys, even though we're not together. I can feel every single one of you. And you know, I thank you so much. And just, you guys all know that if we didn't have private partners, you know, this is about, it's about capitalism. It's about what we believe in open markets, and doing what we have to do to work together. There is no right or wrong. And so how we partner with key stakeholders in the community, whether it's the folks that are helping us bring the amazing content to life in a 3D space and in virtual reality. It all sounds so otherworldly, but it's really not. This is the world we live in. We live in two worlds at once. And so who but us to make sure that those partnerships are there. And when I think about the virtual reality pieces and the content that is now in OCLC because of Kathy Rush's leadership and Betts's leadership and Joy's leadership, and you know, all of those pieces, it all matters. You know, just we have, so back to that thing, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, we go together. And this is really a story of the together of us. Oh, that sounds like a that sounds like a what was that one? That's a funny, what's that sitcom? It's not a sitcom. You know what I'm talking about. It's that NBC thing.
Yeah,
The
This
Story
Is
of
Us.
Us. Whatever. Yeah. There's a library land version of that we kind of have going on. And I just council's leadership, when I think about Nancy Cummings-Schmidt, who's on this call, the MT1 thing was first an LSTA proposal, and Diane Baker remembers, because you were in Denise's job at the time. We all are playing magical seats on the bus. So watch it, Forrest. You're going to become the state librarian at some point. Todd's done it. I mean, it's all, Darryl, be careful. You're going to be over switching agencies. But the thing is that when I think about the role of the public body and the role of all of the oversight and everybody's place where we have a seat on the bus, and we need to understand everybody's seats. Nancy fully understood the role of this idea that people could earn that industry credential, that MT1, at the library. And yet not everybody on council completely got that. And you know, being able to bring Nancy's voice to that, it tipped it over just enough so that it all happened. And look where we are now. So I think the days are bright ahead. And as we, I guess, move into the promise of renewed health and all of the good feelings that spring brings, I'm just confident that that the work that we're doing is going to engage Nevadans and get them back to work. And it's going to be a model more than anything about anyone can learn a STEM skill. Anybody can be a lifelong learner, anybody. And when they come to the library, the pressure is reduced, and they find someone who is willing to meet them wherever they are in that learning journey, and then calm down enough to go, okay, I can do this in 12 weeks, and I'm going to use these tools to learn something completely different. And then they're on their way. And then it's an amazing story. So I know I'm kind of babbling, but you guys all know me. So thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who's here, taking time in the middle of your day to be here. I'm on lunch officially.
Oh, so we're gonna stay out of the weeds. Good, Tammy. Thank you. But a quick question though, because you're absolutely right. If you want to go far, you go together. And I'm wondering if you could spare just a few minutes to give us a peek inside what the vision is of how Nevada's libraries can go together with Sandy and the Governor's Office of Economic Development and Office of Workforce Innovation. How can we go together and realize that vision over the next couple of years?
Thank you for asking that question. Is it okay? I have a slide deck that I prepared for Owen, who is our federal, Owen is the agency whose neck is really on the chopping block with all these deliverables. And our federal program officer wanted to know a little bit more about how the details have been developed with regard to the Sandy grant in Nevada, because one thing that you guys may or may not know is that there were only 8 states that were awarded this Reimagine grant. It was highly competitive. There were over 800 people on the call at the beginning to understand what the expectations were for this competitive grant. And the short Tammy talk version of what this big idea needed to be is, 1, it had to be a novel solution. 2, it had to leverage technology. And 3, it had to land in a nationally recognized industry credential. And if you didn't do all 3 of those things, they didn't even want to look at anything that we had to propose. And so the big idea for this checked all of those boxes. And out of the 8 states, there's 1 state that leverages the power of the library network, and that's the state of Nevada. So, and frankly, that's what was considered novel in our proposal, which, okay, back to what I'm saying, like, that's kind of crazy that the U.S. Department of Education thought libraries were novel in this solution. We're not novel, we're classic, but whatever. We got $13.8 million. And so the federal program officer, Carson and I are told, is highly interested in how things are going in Nevada. So we are for sure in everybody's kind of, how's it going in Nevada? What's going on with Sandy? They're going to think Sandy is actually a person. So much so that the Public Library Association and the American Library Association, who, I knew, and many of you on this call knew, that last year that ALA had an intention to make workforce recovery and lifelong learning and upskilling and all those things a priority of the American Library Association and the Public Library Association. Well, just last week, that all happened officially. And when you go to the ALA website and you look at the information that they're sharing, there is a great document that in one quick page lays out the lay of the land, why the library. And then in the next page, it identifies some states who are really getting it right. And guess what? Yeah, we're spotlit in that of the American Library Association for this work and for this grant. Plus, I'm sure you guys also know that the Governor's Office of Economic Development's annual report for 2020 looks at who were the partners in helping to solve Nevada's education needs. The library is specifically called out. I don't know this for a fact, but I'd be willing to bet that there is not another state in the country whose economic development state agency calls out libraries as part of the solution. And then the state of Nevada's economic GOED's resiliency plan about, okay, that was 2020. Now what's the plan of going forward and how do we figure this out? It specifically mentions Sandy. So with that, I will share my screen to share these slides that were used by Owen. If I can share, oh, I'm disabled. So can someone, I don't know who the host is. Can somebody let me share?
Well, that's that's me. Let's see what we need to do on that. First time at the reins on this. So you.
And do you have a box that says share screen in the middle of and the bottom
I
of your
do,
screen?
yeah. And
Click on
then,
that.
yep, I should be able to toggle. So do you see something different now, Tammy?
Let me see. I have to find out where you went. Oh, there you are. Let me do this.
I have where you participants can share.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great. Okay. There, can you guys?
That's looking good.
Can you see my screen? Okay, so you see the whole thing with all of the logos and all that? Can everyone see that front page? Okay, good. So this is a perfect example of if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Like just think, we all work in government. Like that is a lot of partners right there. And there's a lot of voices and commitments and expectations and all of that that's embedded in that front slide. But that said, so just so you guys all know, we all are very familiar with the Nevada Career Explorer. So what's happening with the Nevada Career Explorer is we are moving from exploring, which to understand the labor market and to kind of dream in a way that one does when one's 9 years old and thinks about what do I want to be when I grow up. That's one kind of sort of exploring, right? Well, dislocated workers are not 9 and they don't have time to dream. They need navigation. They need a direct, clear map to industries that are hiring, that pay, that pay middle income, middle wages, that are middle wage jobs. And so the Nevada Career Explorer, which was deployed in 2017, again, thanks to Nancy and Karsten's leadership. First, it was, as you guys all know, it was down south, and then now it's across the state. That is the foundational system of which these enhancements are taking shape through Sandy to really create precision navigation into what the next thing might be for an individual. So this is just a slide of, you guys all recognize Catherine DeRosier from Headed To. They're a wonderful partner in all of this. And to see essentially kind of a before and after idea of how that's a bulletin board at the College of Southern Nevada within their workforce development allied health programs. That bulletin board is just kind of in the lobby. That's not really a great way to get the word out about what the opportunities are, but then we pivot to it being online with the Nevada Career Explorer, and that's a foundational part of what's happening here. And you guys also know too, and there's a little notes in the enhancements where what is going to happen is that an individual's skills will be decoded. So you will fill out an interest profiler and upload your resume and your past work experience. And so a person can get credit for prior learning, whether that takes the form of assigned college credits or competency badges that will be assigned with their profile to indicate, for example, a dislocated worker who's been a slot machine mechanic for 15 years, they have a lot of skills. And so those will be deconstructed and made visible to a potential employer in a really smart way. So decoding someone's prior experience is really important, as well as emotionally and psychologically. People feel like they knew that they'd learned something over the last 15 years. They knew they had a lot of skills, but to have that validated and reflected back is really important. And then also the virtual reality opportunities that are going to be, I like to say, baked into this, and you guys have heard me say before, I call this a match.com for job seekers and employers. So when you can really get a sense of what that match might look like in terms of skills, especially as they relate to STEM skills, and then to be able to see that in 3D, not only as an interactive object in science, but also in wearing the goggles. It's truly a job shadowing experience where you go into an environment and you hang out there and you get assigned a job and you can actually get a sense of what some of those tasks might be. Now imagine that if that was the news that you received when you went to the library, and that's the service you're going to get going into the library to help you figure out what the next thing is going to be for you. And I think you guys probably already know, but same thing in Karsten's report from GoEd about the resiliency plan moving forward. I mean, the economists are clear. There are many jobs in entertainment and retail and that are not coming back in the state of Nevada. So we have work to do to upskill and reskill people. Then, as we all know, how far flung Nevada is, right? In a great way. But so that's McDermott at the top and Vegas at the bottom. That's like an 8-hour drive. So how can we leverage the power of the library to make sure that everybody is included? And people who live potentially 9 hours away from where some of these programs of study have happened in person, where they are, making this accessible through our way of sharing content, and then also being able to use virtual reality environments. Really, it makes it so like it's like everybody gets their own individual classroom and their own teacher, right? I mean, all the time. So imagine having a teacher just with you all the time. This is where we were with the College of Southern Nevada. So that's Natasha York. Many of you know Natasha. She's a wonderful library professional at the McDermott branch. And Natasha actually went through the dialysis program of study herself. She successfully got all of her clinicals in. She drove to Winnemucca an hour each way to get her clinical hours in. She's the first person in the history of the College of Southern Nevada in their workforce development side of the institution, meaning it's not credit bearing, it's a credential. She's the first person to have been in instruction in a distance learning environment ever at CSN, because these programs had not previously been available online at CSN, and the first person in to leverage the power of the virtual reality simulation in her program of study, and she did really well. And one of the things that we know about credentials of value is that they are portable and stackable, or they lead into the next thing. Part of what's so important about all of this is that individuals understand the labor market, they know where the good jobs are, they know how to get training, and then they get training and not debt. They go into training programs, not debt recovery programs. And so then when they come out on the other side of that, able to earn a middle wage, as well as know what the right next step is for them. So she is currently, Natasha has already taken the next step, and she's enrolled in Western Governors University in a Bachelor of Science nursing program. So she's already a poster child for how all of this works. Also, just so you know how the magic happens, essentially what is going on when these environments, it's a process of knowledge transfer. So we remember some of this from library school about learning theory and knowledge management and all those things. So it's knowledge transfer. So the subject matter experts, like the instructors who you see right here, that's Hilda de Guzman, who has been an instructor at the College of Southern Nevada for years. She's an incredible renal nurse. She at the VA down south, she does this out of the goodness of her heart because there's such a shortage of dialysis technicians and nurses. So she's just adding to her own, she has a calling for this. So she is checking this through this iterative process. Oh, did we get it right here? No, the trash is open there. No, we would never have a bowl of fruit in the area where people are being dialyzed. That would be in the front lobby. We got to take the bowl of fruit out. I mean, it's all the details. So she's an instructor, but also the guarantors on this process are the textbook publishers, their industry who makes the machines, their industry who employs people in their clinics. So it's a very iterative and rather tedious process that you have to get right. And then, so as I was saying before, in the job shadowing, you can literally go in and learn by doing something. So you have the goggles on and you get assigned a preceptor, and you pick up a needle, you wash your hands, you put on scrubs, you do all of those things, which is really incredible. Oh, whoops. And this is a great slide to kind of really illustrate the before and after. So Hilda, you can see Hilda's name right up here. That is in their classroom at the College of Southern Nevada over on Los Verdes Street. I've hung out there a lot over the years. That's the classroom where she's teaching the elements of the what's called the extracorporeal circuit, because that's a difficult thing for people to understand, like, how does this work? So here, Hilda's best attempt, when you look over to the right and see that column looking thing, that's supposed to be a dialyzer, which is it's a cluster, it's a column, but it's a cluster of microfibers that combined makes up this huge filter that's really, I mean, don't I sound smart? And I know what I'm talking about. It's really like replicating a semi-permeable membrane, but that's how it works when the waste is pulled from the blood. So think about trying to understand that from that whiteboard and those tubes, and then getting to understand that through virtual reality and seeing these STEM concepts that are so abstract and literally visualizing them because you're inside it and you're just a part of that. So that is, like, in a nutshell, the apparatus called Sandy, that the timeline of all this. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. But so the timeline of that is, it's a 3-year grant. It basically just got approved, last month at the Board of Examiners. It's 6 months behind from its, working period. So it is a train that's left the station that is going to be, moving fast. We've already, so you guys know that the initial virtual reality that came into the libraries was with the HTC Vive that had the cable off the back and you couldn't go very far. So all of that has been ported, moved into mobile virtual reality. And all of that is ready to go. The cohort at the College of Southern Nevada, their last cohort of this academic calendar, second to last, started today. And so we are already working with the folks down there and getting them the goggles and baking in feedback loops into the Canvas learning management system. So it's happening. And then we're getting going on all the other the other industries that are going to have focused programs. And so there's one that's from each of the community colleges. So the College of Southern Nevada is the dialysis technician program. Western Nevada College will be the MT1 plus. So the MT1 is like, I'm destined to work in an advanced manufacturing place. I am for sure doing it someday. So MT1 is Western Nevada College. And then Truckee Meadows Community College is likely to be a construction trades, maybe HVAC. And then Great Basin College is likely to be a certified nursing assistant. So all of that, and then there's also a little bit more coming, but anyway, all of that combined is what's going to be available. And think about, the last thing I'll say about all that is when you think about those specific industries, healthcare, advanced manufacturing, IT, the construction trades, those are the resilient industries in the state of Nevada. So there are middle wage jobs waiting for Nevadans to get trained and get back to work in those jobs. And so that will be explained through the Sandy apparatus, and people will be able to navigate, not wander around exploring, but to navigate to where they need to go to get those jobs. Todd, was that okay?
Okay, I mean, gosh, so if I'm understanding it right, then what I'm hearing is Western Nevada College, TMCC, College of Southern Nevada, they're all working with you, bringing similar programs online, and the portal to connect the people to these in-demand jobs is the library with the good old Career Explorer?
Pretty much, yep, exactly. And so
that's exciting. Sorry, it's so much better to have a database that people use and that's useful and productive. Not to suggest that all of the things that we have online aren't always used and productive. This one feels really deeply personal, especially when we've still got areas of the state where well over 20% unemployment.
Exactly.
Yay. So yeah, my apologies for just climbing on the soapbox and wanting to ask that question. But that's exciting. So how can we help?
Well, and I also have to say, you know, this proof of concept part was under Todd's watch. He was the state librarian when all of this stuff moved forward. So it really is just, so to answer your question, how can you help? Well, first of all, everybody needs to pay attention to everybody's seat on the bus, because you never know when you're going to have to go be in that seat and drive it, A. And then the second part is to know that as the pieces, the Sandy work plan and the adequacy of resources take shape. I mean, it just got out of the Board of Examiners, what, 3 weeks ago, and then so we have to get this stuff kind of all going, but we're doing it anyway. But just so you know that it's all going to be coming soon to you guys, and I'll be reaching out with everybody, and you'll know, you know, when we really have to get clear about the new assets that are being baked into the Nevada Career Explorer. But prior to that, even right this minute, it's to continue to focus on that database, the Nevada Career Explorer, and to continue to use it, because it's already a best-in-class system. It's already a best-in-class match.com. So it's already working, and it's just going to even be more fun. And we're talking with the College of Southern Nevada about, this is a shorthanded way of saying it, but between now and September, since CSN has another cohort of dialysis programming that starts in September, how can we essentially educate folks and all those individuals who thought they wanted to be a doctor or a nurse when they grew up? We with precision navigation, everybody who wants to could get into that program of study starting in that September cohort, because that's entirely possible. Oh, and one other thing you guys got to know is that the clinical hours that are required for healthcare programs of study, the Nevada State Board of Nursing has allowed simulation to go from 30% of that time into 50% of that time. And that normally would have been like the mannequins, right? But it's virtual reality. So Natasha could have gotten some of her clinical hours completed in McDermott in the goggles versus getting up and driving to Winnemucca. That's a huge deal. So that's also going to continue to evolve. So I will be boring everyone to death with all this minutia for the next 3 years. So please do not lose my phone number.
Well, and I have to apologize to Forrest and Denise and Karsten for wading in and just talking when it wasn't expected. But I have to say that I'm just so honored and proud to be here to witness you receiving this award, Tammy. And I had no idea, because I'm technically inept, but that the Washington State Librarian, Sarah Jones, is also with us. We all have kind of a vested interest in you. It's just such a treat to see you actually take home the prize. And that said, I'll step back. And what I'm curious about, though, Tammy, is since today is National Library Workers Day, and National Library Week is all about library love. Are you willing to, I mean, could you share any library worker love stories or library love stories? I mean, could you kickstart it so that we can all just sort of throw out any positive things that we want to share? Because we all spend too much time on the negative side of, receiving things sometimes. And it's good to keep in mind how appreciated we are. Not to put you on the spot, but if you have something you could share.
I absolutely do have something. So many of you also know that my dad passed away in October. And when I think about the dignity of work, and when I think about what drives me, I think about my dad, and then it immediately reminds me of when Robin and Sarah and I were putting together the ask of Carson City for the Knowledge and Discovery Center. And one of the pictures in that brochure was of my dad at, he must have been 78, or I don't know, ladies, that was a while ago, huh? my dad was at the Carson City Library at that time getting his first library card. And that is a true story. And since that time until he passed, he really did enjoy that process of using the library. So it's never too late. And that's why I know that anybody will be able to upskill and reskill through the library. How about you, Todd?
Oh my goodness, we don't have time for all of the library stories, but if anyone wants to speak, I'd encourage you to throw something in the chat so that Diane can permit that. I'm going to say though that one of the most impactful things about hosting this event today from the Carson City Library, even though it's the Nevada Library Association event, it really is where you, Tammy, first discovered that you were separated at birth from this family of librarians. And you went on to become a librarian, and you launched the MT1 program along with Sarah Jones in that library. And you've been following that mission. And I guess what I have to say is that all of us, right? Nevada's libraries are strong and vital because of each of you. Thank you for joining us today and underlining that as we celebrate Nevada's library workers. And Tammy, I love you're calling up that African proverb. So I'm just going to underline it again and say that in the days ahead, let's remember to go together because we've got a long way to go. So thank you though for leading us all on this thing. And Forrest and Denise and Carson, I'm going to mute myself and be good for now on. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy, and thanks, Todd. I just have to say, when I met Tammy first time years ago, she was doing a presentation at the Sahara West Library, and it was for the Nevada Library Association conference. And I'd never met her before, but I was in this conference, and I remember walking away from going, geez, I'm glad I don't work for her. She would be exhausting. Little did I know. And then she left and came back, and it's that energy that has propelled us so far. And now I love that energy. But from somebody who as they say, I'm built for comfort, not for speed. The slower little bit is, like I said, the first time I'm just like, man, she needs to cut down on the coffee. But that was, I realized that is you, and congratulations, and keep it up. I hope you never lose that energy.
So we do have a couple of people that would like to say a word. I think as I thought I saw Sarah's hand up. So yeah, go for it, please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting a former Nevadan join you. And I just can't say I'm so proud of Tammy, and she and I have worked closely together for a very long time. And I'm so proud of you, Tammy. And just to see this work develop into such profound implications is just, it's beyond belief. So we've had a lot of really great times together, and I know there's future great times together, and huge congratulations.
And if anyone else would like to unmute, please, we're welcoming those. We have some minutes left, and we'd love to use them that way.
If you don't mind, I felt like, thank you, Todd. I'm hosting, but I feel more like a guest here and an honored one to be here. I recently shifted into this role from being the Director of Learning and Innovation at Western Nevada College's library, where I have been following the Sandy Grant project from the community college side with great anticipation and excitement. And so now I am just delighted to be able to be a part of this project now from this side. And I think that interconnectiveness is what Tammy's really highlighted and built, is that when we are collaborating across our silos and across our areas, thinking outside of those traditional boxes, we can do amazing things that we've not been able to do before. And when Tammy says, you know, this isn't novel, it's not novel to people who think in novel ways as their way of being. And I think that that's what we have here with this group. And I'm so delighted and honored to be a part of it, and so thankful for the work that you're all doing together in these fun ways. I mean, this is what makes work fun. So thank you.
Here, and I have to say, Denise, even though I promised to keep muted, you give us all such great hope. The state library, the positions that you're in there are critical path. You and the state council together are the sinew and that binds together the bone and flesh of Nevada's libraries so that we move this forward. Thank you for stepping up and being of service.
Oh, thank you.
Nancy, I see your hand, and then I see Mark's hand too. Please take it away.
Yes,
Nancy.
my hand is up. Oh my, Tammy, when I think back through the years, all the many highs and all the many lows we've had and all the challenges we've worked through, and your incredible leadership and support for the state council, and all the passion and energy and vision that you brought with you in everything you do. And I know that passion and vision is going to endure, and that you're not going to lose that. And it's been such a great pleasure and honor to work with you through these past years. And fortunately, you're just going down the hall and around the corner and working with Kirsten. We're not losing you. That's good for the libraries, and it's good for the state of Nevada. Love you, dear.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Like Karsten, I also am not a librarian, so I feel like I'm on hallowed ground here, that maybe I shouldn't be here, but I really appreciate you letting me join you all. Congratulations, Tammy, on this richly deserved award. That's fantastic. And it's interesting. I'm over the hill in San Francisco, and it's fascinating to me that I actually know more about Nevada and what's going on in the library world than I do in California. And so it's a privilege for me to be working with so many of you. What I wanted to just mention is I went to a 4-hour online conference on workforce development yesterday, put on by the state of Nevada's Workforce Development Agency. And the federal program officer from the Department of Education went ahead. She presented on multiple other states doing innovative things across America. And she talked about a couple other states, but she actually spent most of her time talking about what's going on in Nevada. And it was exactly the program that Tammy presented to us all, that all of you are doing. This, of course, coming from the grant that Tammy and Carson co-led the writing of, that led to this $13.8 million. So it's fantastic to see Nevada finally getting its well-deserved leadership awareness role nationwide, because it's an inspiration for us here in California. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Well, we have only a moment or two. If anyone else would like to jump in, you can raise your hand, or you can throw your comments into chat. I see one more there. Kathy, if you want to unmute.
Yes. So Tammy knows that I hate public speaking and that I'm extremely shy. So only she would bring me out to say in a group like this, which is very friendly, a very friendly group, is that we worked together at Carson for I think 5 years plus, and now here at the State Library for several years. And there is just no one quite like her. The energy, the positivity, the confidence, the expertise, and the persuasion, all those things that just make her an amazing leader and an amazing innovator. And I am just so happy I had the opportunity to work with you. And I'm very, very excited for your honor here.
Thank you, Kathy. We are coming up on the hour. So if please feel free to put an item in chat. We'll keep that going, but we do want to respect everyone's time. And also, I do want to have the moment also to throw my thanks in there to Tammy and all the great work that she's done, and having been able to work with her when I was at the State Library, and then flipping roles, being at Carson City Library when she was at the State Library. So it's been a distinct honor to be able to work with you on multiple levels and see how we can push the wonderful work of libraries forward in work development and other areas.
Wow, well, thank you all. And Diane, what I'm going to just suggest, I don't know that I'd let everyone know that we were recording this. So if there's any objections, please let me know. Shoot me an email, tcolegrove@carson.org or at Forrest at North Las Vegas. If we don't hear anything, we will go ahead and share this video recording likely on the NLA Facebook page. So thank you all for joining us, and have a great day. Now go out and celebrate your library workers. It's a wonderful thing to do. Yay.
Thank you all. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Wow.
Oh, thank you, Tammy. It's just, again, you've played a formative role in all of our lives.
Oh my God.
If that isn't clear, right?
Oh,
Yay.
I'm a bit of a puddle. So thank you, Diane.
And just as soon as we've got the recording wrapped up, unless there's any objections,